Audio. Okay, here we go, everybody. Sorry, I'm starting exceptionally late. I am an epic failure, but that can't be helped. Let's get everything synced up. That is synced with that. Yes. That stuff's open. Is this going to work? Yes, it is. Excellent. Okay. So we'll get into stuff as soon as everybody's here or something close to everybody. In the meantime, oops, no, that's the adjusted version. Where did I put the original? Well, anyways, check this out. This is in progress work, a specific scene this time for what would be the very final shot just before the credits roll on the pilot episode of Dream War. This is, of course, being done by Anya over in Belarus, as everything else related to Dream War has been done. Everything up till now was character concept art. Andim, his wife Elem, and Mepria, and then, oops, no, we have to go backwards. This one should be it. Ash and Ban. This time, she's doing an actual scene for, like I said, what would be the very final pre-credits scene for the pilot episode, were this ever to actually become real. So that should hopefully be done within the next week or so. And I apologize for those who are already here to hear it. I apologize if I have to suddenly cut short because there's a chance my dad's going to come home from work early. Normally, he doesn't come back till midnight East Coast time, but he might be coming home an hour or two early or earlier. I don't know. If he does, I'm going to have to cut stream immediately short because can't take the risk of him hearing me say anything negative about Trump because he's still in the cult. So I may have to cut short if he shows up. But anyways, let's see. Who do we got? Nobody. Okay, so while we're waiting for people to show up, since I started late, I'll mention a few other random things and then check again just to see if anybody's there. So, and of course, Epic Pen disappeared. Let's fix that. There we go. So Libya should be going back up over 1.4 million barrels per day. One of their fields that was shut down sometime last year or early last year for an expansion project just got reactivated with a 25,000 barrel per day expanded unit. I did not catch what its prior production was, but uh, that should be bumping them back up to the high point before was 1.42. So that should bring them up to like back up over 1.4 now from 1.37 or 3.8 up to 1.44 or maybe 1.45. We'll have to see. Let me think. Is there any other random-ish type economic stuff I can touch on? Oh, yeah, wait. Other good news. Tunisia has been getting decent amounts of rain. So after, constantly going down, refueling a bit, going down further, refilling a bit, down further each year, their total collective water storage across the entire country, all their reservoirs combined, has, after a low point of only 19% 2 or 3 years ago, managed to go up and down, but not too far down, and now back up. Was plateauing, but now is going further back up. It had stopped at around 33, but over the past month or so, it's gotten back up to 35% total full. And it is about to, or is currently, storming decently with decent thunderstorms and rain across the country, and is supposedly going to do so for at least the next few days. So that should give them a further boost of replenishment to their total reservoir network, hopefully by a few whole percentage points. But we'll have to wait and see how it goes, obviously. And drilling has started in, I forgot the exact location, but in one of the fields offshore of Mexico's coast in the Gulf of Mexico. That should bump Mexico up, or technically stop it from declining, as it's been holding in the upper ones, and it's on a pattern of going down, jumping up when a new field gets started, continuing to go down, jumping up when a new field gets started. And everything is mostly small except for two big fields that I mentioned that will be getting activated between now and 2030. Each of those is about, I believe, 100,000 barrels per day. This field, the Treon field, is 100,000, and it should be coming online, I believe, at the very end of next year or the very start of 2028. So that will be a 100K barrel per day upshoot from the decline. The decline will then, of course, resume, obviously, but this combined with the other big one and a few small things, maybe some Eagle Forward operations, should continue to keep Mexico's production wobbling around in the 1.678 million barrel per day range for the next 4 or 5 years at least. All right, now let's see who we got. No one. All right, well, sucks to be anybody who's late, but I'm going to start doing some stuff. So let's see. Some of the bigger developments we had, the in-air refueling tanker collision, where this was a repeat, basically, except over land this time, of the 2018 incident. Was the most recent one because this is not the first time that we've actually had this happen, and it seems to be tankers that do it the most frequently. So one came in basically tail. This is the tail, and this out here would be the wing of the other. One came in and basically sliced through the wing of the other with its tail. And you can see that let me scroll down to where it shows what's left of the tail. So tail cuts off there at the American flag on this one. This is the one that survived. They came back down versus the normal tail. The normal tail, you can see, uh, goes much higher up than where the flag is. So it came in, and it's pretty easy to deduce tail sliced through of one, sliced through the wing of the other. Uh, Something similar happened back in, like I said, just before COVID. On the civilian side, a similar thing happened in Brazil not too long ago, between like a small private jet and a 737, and it actually ended up being the smaller private jet that survived. So the regular Brazilian civilians ended up dying while the millionaires lived, because that's how life turns out. So that happens. Epic Pen is malfunctioning again. Let's fix that. Here we go. There we go. Somebody's alive. So that happened there. And let's see. I guess I'll go counterclockwise this time. So we'll start in Iraq. So that happened over Western Iraq. So that's the one that crashed, obviously, is lost. All six crew members on that are dead. One made it back to the one that made it back to land is out of action for at least a few months, as they'll just replace the entire tail. There were also several drone attacks on uh, Iraqi security forces and Kurdish forces up in the northern portions of Iraq. That ended up killing a few people on base, and then there were clashes, uh, actual like on-ground firefight clashes between the Iraqi military and the various pro-Iranian revolutionary or insurgent groups that ended up in total the base stuff, the drone attacks on the bases combined with the firefight stuff saw about 30, 30 Iraqi military personnel killed, with roughly 60 Iranian militia forces killed. The beneficial KDR ratio primarily came from the security forces having air support. So apparently they weren't actually doing well in the firefight itself. There was a French soldier there at one of those bases who was killed. Let's see. Iraq joins the civilian count now as I forgot where, I think they were up in the north somewhere as well, but there were two random civilians that got killed in an explosion from one of the drone strikes as well. Let's see. Other stuff within Iraq, specifically, not technically within Iraq, technically offshore, but my previous point stands that it kind of makes no real sense for the insurance companies or the shipping companies to still sit there like hundreds of tankers in the Gulf, like trying to wait things out, because Iran had already started attacking random tankers that were just sitting still. So sitting in the Gulf trying to wait it out isn't actually the safety option anymore, and is becoming less and less so as Iran has continued striking the tankers that are just sitting anchored in the Gulf. So again, continuing now that this is really obvious to just sit there and hoping this will all blow over is no longer even remotely intelligent. It actually would be better to just go for it. But they struck two that were unfortunately really close to each other. So let me find that one. That's where the thumbnail came from. So you can kind of, let me get a bigger version. You can kind of see, as this is one of them. This is one of them burning, and you can kind of see a bit back there from the one behind it. They were right with each other. And I believe that's the extent of what happened in Iraq specifically. Iran did try a few more launches towards Turkey, which got intercepted. And then, continuing in our counterclockwise rotation, we reach Lebanon, where what everybody knew was going to happen is happening. The IDF is doing invasion number 2 of the 2020s, at least. Technically, I think this is like the 6th time the IDF has invaded Lebanon. But, anyways, they are pushing in, and they have increased the like ordered evacuation area because they've been airdropping leaflets and stuff, and have told everyone south of this line in Lebanon to move up northwards, except to Beirut. They've also told everyone to leave Beirut because they've effectively admitted that they are just going to carpet bomb it at this point. They already have been. You don't when you prove you can do literally like through the window targeted single room strikes against a couple of Hezbollah guys in a hotel room, you kind of admit that you don't actually have any real reason to be just leveling entire blocks of apartment buildings. You're just doing that to level entire blocks of apartment buildings. So if you want to call it strategic, then from a strategic standpoint, they might be trying to continue pressing the idea to Lebanese that Lebanon is unlivable and thus encouraging more of them to emigrate abroad than already have. Lebanon's population is continuing to decline. It's at about like 5.7 million. I think it peaked at like 8 or 9 at some point, and that was like 2.5 decades ago, around the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's since the 2006 war, it's been going down again, primarily because of people leaving. Uh, Lebanon's birth rate was still above replacement up until the last few years. Post COVID, or I think around 2020 is when it hit like 2.2 or 2.1. And as of now, especially post 2003 or post 2023, it's now down to like 1.6 or 1.5. But anyways, they're continuing with that invasion, and clashes are happening all throughout. And Hezbollah has been grabbing at what chunks of weaponry they had that did not survive the bomb, that did survive the bombing campaign last time in 2024. And they've been able to get off a few 100 rocket waves into northern Israel and have done a number of bits of damage in some of the northern towns. A few more people have been killed, but mostly it's just been buildings and houses that got like burned down and stuff, and cars. But cars are of the least concern on that tier of three things. But so the invasion of southern Lebanon continues, along with again the essentially just leveling of Beirut at this point. Total civilians, random Lebanese dead, is around 700 now. Will probably be over 1,000 by the time we reach the end of week 3, which officially begins tonight or tomorrow. Uh, Roughly 200 Hezbollah dead. So that's, not the best civilian to enemy ratio. Not that the IDF is really aiming for a low civilian death ratio. If you were, you wouldn't be leveling apartment buildings. But uh, other than that, let's see. Oh, yeah, plus around 1,800 people in Lebanon have been hospitalized from severe injuries, mostly in Beirut, of course, from the leveling and carpet bombing. But yeah, that's probably my guess at some of the broader aim is to just keep repeating this process and make Lebanon feel as unlivable as possible and try to continue its depopulation via encouraging mass emigration, regardless of where the Lebanese go to. Uh, the IDF or the Israeli government just wants them to leave. And yeah, fair enough chance with the security thing, as the actual Israeli border is right here. For security, they occupied and quote unquote absorbed or annexed this bit here in Syria. They're probably going to end up doing something similar to like the southern portion of Lebanon here. Just like with the extra strip of Syria they're occupying, which actually includes up to Nawa there. It more looks something like this right now. and the continued depopulation and eventual annexation of Gaza, but everybody already knows that was on the table. Let's see, civilian deaths in Israel are up to 19. Uh, IDF soldier deaths are somewhere between 10 and 20. Officially published is 2, but it's roughly somewhere between 10 and 20. Nothing, nothing via Egypt. So then counterclockwise will now take us to Saudi Arabia. So as said in the Americans might see $6 gasoline video, uh, Saudi Arabia has diverted a huge chunk of its oil production through its its westbound pipeline, and is now exporting via the Red Sea. And it looks like they're outputting between 4.5 and 5 million. They might be able to get it up to 6 million barrels per day outbound, but that part will involve finishing and activating some additional offloading infrastructure at one of the terminals to where the pipeline exits, and they think that will probably take like a little over a month. So for the moment, roughly 5 million. Uh, Potentially a month from now, 6 million. And at this point, uh, even post-war, they are almost certainly going to continue exporting a heavy portion this way, as opposed to returning to dumping everything out through Ras Tanura, which was always stupid from the very beginning. Let's see, switch to mouse. Let me check chat. Do we have people? Oh, there's everybody. Where were you guys? Where were you guys when I actually started? Uh, yeah, you can scroll back for the stuff you missed. Very beginning was me waiting for people, so it was mostly boring stuff like me showing scene and character concept art from Dream War and everything. And I talked about some non-Iran related stuff. Let's see. We go one at a time. Uh, I I do not have an actual certainty I can give you on that one at this point. Uh, US, US casualties in reality are 16 or 17. Uh, the the administration only admits to I think 15, because there are one or two guys who died not from the actual like explosion or shrapnel from an explosion of something happening at one of the bases next to them, but ended up they breathed in like too much smoke and it ended up causing like lung failure a few days afterward. So the DoD is writing those guys off as not technically combat deaths, but they literally wouldn't have died if they were not next to a missile strike that then created the smoke that they breathed in. So under the max OGR standards, that is a combat death. That counts. You don't get to write that off. So it's in actuality 17, but the administration claims only 15. In terms of out of action personnel, it's around like 150 or 170 that are injured, that are had to get airlifted out either at Ramstein or Bethsaida back in not Norfolk, but somewhere near Quantico, Virginia, I think. More strikes on Bahrain. They Some drones impacted a few more skyscrapers, some more luxury hotels, and also hit the airport and hit a number of the fuel tanks there. So Bahrain Airport is out of commission for at least a few days until that's under control. There are still fuel tanks, so they can still operate once they get the fire under control, at least to a limited extent. But no one's exactly going to be, no one's exactly going to be visiting Bahrain at the moment. The UAE, there were more strikes on Dubai. A couple more of the skyscraper luxury hotels got hit, along with the Innovation One or Finance One, whatever tower its name is, that has the Dubai Stock Exchange or whatever. That got hit, which doesn't actually do anything like physically, but it is a financial middle finger. Because the trades the trades don't technically require the physical stock exchanges, but the stock exchanges globally, whether in the U.S., Dubai, or etc., are important like financial propaganda symbols where you get celebrities to come in to ring the opening bell or whatever every every special trading day or whatever the tradition is. Casualties around the the Gulf, excluding Iraq, since they already did Iraq. We have, let's see, two Emirati military personnel died. I talked about them last time. They were in a Black Hawk, a UH-60 that was circling out offshore of Dubai, shooting the incoming Shahed drones with the M134 chain gun out of the door. Two of the crew on that died, either both pilots or one of the pilots and the door gunner. I don't know which, but two died when that helicopter went down. And then UAE is at four random civilian deaths, which the UAE government doesn't care about because they were slaves. They were the willing workers who get their ability to leave Dubai removed from them and are forced to live in small, like 20-foot by 20-foot square one room buildings with like 20 other dudes crammed in there. If you see like pictures of Dubai from overhead and you see there's all the skyscrapers and cool stuff here, and then there's like nice looking houses and stuff here. And then way out here down a desert road, there's a huge block with like an infinite grid of these little white square buildings. That's where the slaves live. And yes, UAE, don't even try with me. It's just slavery. So they lost four slaves. So they don't care. The rest of us care because we're actual humans, but the Emirati government doesn't care. Oman lost one civilian, an actual Omani. I'm pretty sure they were one of the workers at that oil depot, as there was a fuel terminal down around here. This was not Oman's oil export terminal. This was one of their like actual cargo terminals where ships come in to offload like actual containers and grain and stuff. But those regular cargo terminals do have big assemblies of fuel tanks because, to the surprise of hopefully no one, large, you know, large like 1,500-foot long cargo ships carrying 20,000 containers tend to use a lot of fuel. So they get refueled from those big, like 10,000 barrel tanks. A drone strike got through onto one of those, and Oman kind of built the others too close. So when that one went boom, set the others off. And so that port is not operable at the current time. There was one attempted Iranian Navy action towards one of the U.S. destroyers out in the Gulf of Oman. Unknown what the idea was. It was a small like personal boat sized boat, and it did have a gun. So not we're not really sure whether they were just going to drive up and start shooting with a 50 cal, or whether they had explosives and they were just going to like suicide ram the destroyer. But the boat got blown up. So no idea what the actual particular intention of the attack was, but they attempted it. Let's see. Qatar, was there anything new? No. Uh, let's see. Saudi Arabia actually had their first two civilian deaths at, let's see, not Ras Tanura. What's the, I think it's closer down to Dammam. They have a smaller oil terminal that's also like a regular cargo port, and some drone strikes hit some of the fuel tanks there, and two of the oil and gas industry workers were killed in the explosion. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Kuwait also has had additional casualties, bringing their total to four Kuwaiti military personnel killed. They were at the same base that was struck by the ballistic missile, where the first six U.S. deaths were in that. They were, I'm assuming, in that same tactical screens all over the wall, Mission Impossible style room or whatever. And then there's also additional civilian deaths, bringing random Kuwaiti citizen deaths to four. Is there anything else out and circling around? Let me look up and down here on the list before we go into Iran itself. We got those, and we got those. Okay. So strikes all up and down Iran continue, hitting missile, the missile launching and erector vehicles when they come out, along with the drone launching stuff. The actual numbers of drones and missiles was obviously highest the first day and declined quickly, and then has done a repeating pattern of jumping up before dropping off and continuing downwards. And it was down, and it stopped going down fast and was declining much more slowly for the last few days until yesterday. They did have a jump upwards, which means usually, or any just basic logic deduction is they had one of the particular tunnels, because they keep all the stuff stored in like under mountain tunnels, obviously, since they have that availability. Probably had one tunnel somewhere where they had enough room to work in, I would assume, and they were able to get like multiple, like a couple dozen missiles onto the actual launcher trucks and get everything programmed and ready before driving out, and then drove like all of them out at once and did a YOLO salvo. So that's where the like sudden up spikes come from, similar to actually a similar pattern now that you think about it to the declining oil production stuff that you tend to see. Total casualties in Iran, we're at a 50-50 split of roughly 1,500 1,500 random Iranian civilians and 1,500 military personnel plus government officials, uh, or not all like actual top seat government officials, but also just like random staff associated. And number of injured or hospitalized people in Iran is uncertain, but likely in excess of 10,000. Uh, specifically referring to like just random Iranians. Targets that were hit over the last few days were, I think it was in Tehran, but their main their main missile rocketry and satellite development research and dev center for the RGC slash the regular military. In that case, it's kind of just one department. But that building was taken out along with not via airstrikes. This was an Israeli cyber attack. A number of Iranian banks, a number of Iranian banks have gone dark for the last few days. People have been unable to access money. So that one I really would not call that a bright move to make. That one's really going to morally backfire. But can't do anything about it. The IDF did it, or technically that would be Mossad in this case. And in, I think, Shiraz, I'm not certain, but Iran's one primary factory for their domestic helicopter manufacturing. I didn't actually know they made their or had developed and manufactured their own domestic helicopters. I thought they primarily just used Russian and Chinese stuff, but apparently they did manufacture their own helicopters. That factory was taken out along with the the rest of their rocket components factories and the electronics guidance systems factories. So the ability for them to make new stuff has been shredded, but they still have quite a bit under the mountains. The estimate is probably between 1 to 2,000 missiles remaining, whereas the number of Shahed drones is probably in the tens of thousands. And let's see what else is on the list. Oh yeah, they also struck three three not oil tankers. That was the stuff offshore of Iraq. They struck three uh, bulk carriers and container ships or cargo vessels, crate vessels. The I don't know for certain, so don't quote me, but I think it was the bulk carrier was carrying wheat, and the container ships were carrying everything, obviously in different containers. Some of that would have been like other stuff the UAE is heavily import dependent on, like food and etc. So they are probably explicitly targeting the UAE's import vessels as retaliation for the UAE striking that desalination plant last week. That would be my guess or my assumption, at least. All right, I think that's the summation of the developments there, but also having some internal blowback within the US itself, as I believe it was Michigan and Wisconsin, but I'm not sure. It might have been Michigan and Pennsylvania, but there were two separate shootings. One one at the university and one at a Jewish synagogue over the last few days, which the people who committed them said they were doing it as retaliation for the war against Iran. So actual domestic blowback is starting to occur as well. And here comes the congestion. Let me see if trading has stopped. It has. Okay. So the graph re-corrects itself, but previously, before dropping back down abruptly with the strategic petroleum announcement, the price of oil had correctly gone up to close to or over $120 per barrel, but then dropped back down into the 80s and has now climbed up to about 99, coming just below 100. It absolutely should be in triple digits. There's no reason for it to be this low right now. But as we saw with silver, you guys remember me complaining about for literally 6+ years, the market is inherently stupid as it's comprised of the collective decisions of a bunch of individual people, and people are collectively low IQ, especially traders and investor bros, or no, sorry, they're called finance bros. They tend to be cult members also. Okay, let's see what we got. That goes down there. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, actually, I forgot. Uh, now that I saw your comment, the new leader, the 17th son of the former Ayatollah, was hit by an airstrike, but unlike his dad, he survived. He supposedly has he got like a mangled leg from it, so he might end up with like one of his legs amputated, but he is still alive as of the moment until another attempt is made on him again. So, thank you for said comment. Otherwise, I would have forgotten about that. Yeah, supposedly there is a plan being floated to Targ Island is this one, right? Yeah. Supposedly there's a plan being floated to do an amphibious slash airborne invasion of this island to cut it off and hold it from Iran to prevent them from being able to continue to export their oil during this, as their domestic consumption crashed. The last update I was able to get was over a week ago, and it had crashed to at or below 1 million barrels per day, while their production, since we haven't actually struck any of their production sites, just some of the refineries and storage depots up around Tehran, uh, and that was the IDF anyways, even though we told them not to. But it's become pretty apparent that they're, despite Israel formerly being a vassal state, they're not really obeying anymore. So, wondering if Pentagon tends to actually do anything about that at some point. There's the garage door. That's my dad. So I'm gonna have to cut this short very soon, in like the next 30 seconds, because if I say accidentally anything negative about Trump, he's gonna lose it because he's in the cult. So I do apologize for having to cut it off here. But thank you, everybody who showed up. I will see you guys.